The bright morning sun poured through the living room windows, filling every corner of the house with warmth, yet nothing could melt the cold silence that had settled between us. My wife finally looked at me with trembling eyes after months of unanswered questions. She searched my face for the man who used to laugh with her every morning, but all she found was quiet sadness. The truth had lived inside my heart for so long that it had become heavier than any burden I had ever carried. She softly asked why I no longer looked at her the way I once had, and although my lips formed a faint smile, my heart whispered the painful answer. It wasn't because I had stopped loving her. It was because the future we had spent years building together had disappeared the day she made the biggest decision of our marriage without me. Before this emotional journey continues, if you believe kindness, forgiveness, and second chances still have a place in this world, please like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, share this story with someone you care about, and subscribe to Kindness Forever. Your support helps these heartfelt stories reach people who need hope. My name is Corwin Mercer, and my wife was named Celine Ashford. We were never rich, but we never measured our happiness by money. Every sunrise found us working toward the same dream. I spent long days repairing old furniture, while Celine worked as a librarian who believed every book carried a piece of someone's soul. We saved every extra dollar in a small account we proudly called our tomorrow. That money wasn't simply a collection of numbers. It represented years of sacrifice, canceled vacations, repaired shoes instead of new ones, homemade dinners instead of restaurants, and countless promises whispered over coffee in the daylight. Everything changed when Celine's older cousin became trapped in a financial disaster after trusting the wrong business partners. He begged her for help, convincing her that if she didn't act immediately he would lose everything. Fear clouded her judgment. Instead of talking to me, she secretly emptied nearly every dollar from our savings to rescue him. She believed she could explain everything later, after the crisis had passed. But the investment collapsed, the money vanished forever, and so did the home we had dreamed of buying. I discovered the truth while sitting in the bank during an ordinary afternoon. I expected to transfer money for a house inspection, but the balance staring back at me felt impossible. My hands trembled as I asked the manager to check again. There had been no mistake. Years of shared sacrifice had disappeared with a single decision I had never known existed. The hardest part was not losing the money. It was realizing that trust had quietly left our marriage long before the savings disappeared. I returned home beneath the clear blue sky carrying paperwork that felt heavier than stone. Celine immediately knew I had found out. She cried before I asked a single question. I could see genuine regret in her eyes, yet my heart had already built walls that neither of us knew how to climb. Weeks turned into months. We remained polite, sharing breakfast each morning in silence before leaving for work beneath the warm daylight. Friends admired our peaceful marriage from the outside, never realizing we had become two lonely people sharing the same address. Every photograph hanging on the wall reminded me of dreams that no longer existed. Celine refused to give up. She accepted extra shifts at the library, organized community reading events on weekends, and spent afternoons tutoring children without charging families who struggled financially. Every dollar she earned went into rebuilding our savings. She never asked me to notice. She simply worked quietly, hoping consistent actions would someday speak louder than apologies. Then another unexpected trial arrived. My mother suffered a serious stroke. Hospital visits became part of our daily routine, and medical bills quickly overwhelmed us. Without hesitation, Celine stood beside me every single day. She prepared meals for my father, drove my mother to therapy appointments, and stayed cheerful even when exhaustion showed on her face. Watching her care for my family with genuine compassion forced me to confront a difficult truth. The woman who had broken my trust had never stopped loving me. She had simply made one terrible decision that changed everything. One sunny afternoon, while helping my mother walk through the hospital garden, she gently squeezed my hand and reminded me that trust is not rebuilt with words but with faithful actions repeated every day. She told me that people should never be defined forever by the worst choice they have ever made if they spend every day trying to become better. Those words followed me home. That evening I opened an old box filled with photographs. There were pictures of simple picnics, birthday celebrations, road trips, and ordinary afternoons where nothing extraordinary happened except that we were together. I realized every memory I treasured had been created through love, patience, and kindness rather than wealth. For the first time in many months, Celine and I spoke honestly about everything. We talked until the afternoon sunlight slowly faded across the room. She admitted that fear had convinced her secrecy was the quickest way to protect someone she loved. Instead, it had nearly destroyed the person she loved most. I admitted that although my heart had been broken, I had hidden behind silence instead of allowing healing to begin. Recovery came slowly. We attended financial counseling together, created new goals, promised complete honesty in every important decision, and learned that rebuilding trust resembles rebuilding a home after a storm. It requires patience, daily effort, and the willingness to keep placing one brick upon another even when progress feels invisible. 2 years later, our savings account finally reached the amount needed for a modest little house surrounded by a small garden filled with colorful flowers. Standing on the front porch beneath the bright afternoon sky, I realized that the greatest treasure we had rebuilt wasn't our savings. It was the confidence that we would never again face life's hardest decisions alone. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes forgiveness is possible, and subscribe to Kindness Forever so more people can discover stories filled with hope, compassion, and second chances. Special request, before this story ends, tell us in the comments, if someone truly regrets a mistake and spends years proving they have changed, would you give them another chance? As the golden daylight settled softly across our new home, I finally understood that love is not the absence of mistakes. Love is the courage to face painful truths, accept responsibility, rebuild broken trust one day at a time, and choose each other again, not because the past can be erased, but because hope is always stronger than regret when kindness leads the way.